Hey guys, welcome to Crafts Go Bloom. Here on this channel, we talk about all things crochet, yarn, and markets. And that's what we're going to be talking about today is going to crochet markets. In the last month, I went to 3 markets inside of 4 weeks. I had 2 markets, 2 weekends in a row, and then I had 1 week off, and then I had a 3rd market on the 4th week. The first market that we went to in this past month is a market that happens 3 times a year. It was the second one of the year. So we did that same market back in April. At that one back in April, I think we made around $900. At the one here in August, we made $770. That market was open for about 9 hours. The average amount of money we're hoping to make per hour is at least $100 an hour. So this one didn't quite live up to what we were hoping it to be. Plus there was a $150 fee to get into this one. So if we go back to these next year, I would probably skip this one. There's another one coming up in December at the same place, same event. And everybody has been saying, like the other vendors that we talked to while we're there have been saying that the December one is the best one. Everybody's Christmas shopping and their sales are always up in December. So we're kind of just checking out the 3 different ones this year and trying to figure out if we want to do all 3 next year, maybe none of them, and just what is going to be worth it for us to do in the future. Now, I said our average that we're looking for is $100 per hour usually, and we do usually make $100 per hour after the fee is taken out. So we only made about $770. You take out that $150 fee and we're at only $620 for like 9 hours. That's not really the average we're looking for. It's only an average of a little less than $70 an hour. So that's not really one that we're looking forward to doing next year. We've had other shows last year and this year where we've been able to kind of like hone in our market finding skills. And we've had markets where we've made $200 an hour up to $320 an hour. The one where we made $320 an hour, that was like totally unexpected. So that's kind of ruined us as far as like thinking that it's okay to get to $100 an hour. And now we're trying to drive a little farther and look for more markets where we can hopefully hit that $320 an hour goal. The other problem with this first market that we went to in those 4 weeks is that it's just not quite our ideal customer. A lot of young people come in, but they're typically like the age range where they're maybe married, but they don't have kids yet. A lot of our ideal customer tends to be either kids or families with kids. So we're hoping that when we go back in December, those people, if they happen to not have kids, would be looking for gifts for nieces and nephews or whatever. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that market does in December, but I'm also sort of keeping my expectations in check, and I'm just hoping that we get to $100 an hour after that $150 fee, the $150 we have to pay each time. The next market that we went to was a 2-day market with the potential of it being a 4-day market. You could go on Friday night and potentially be open while you were setting up, and then you would be open all day Saturday and Sunday, and then it was also open on Monday. It was Labor Day weekend. So we had the potential of a 4-day market. Even if it was just a 2-day market, what we saw for the crowds and the number of people being there, we were hoping to be able to also be open on Friday. We'll just wait and see about Monday. And we were hoping that it would probably be our biggest show of the year as far as like dollar amount sold. We might not hit like multiple hundreds of dollars per hour necessarily, but because of how long it was going to be open and how big the crowd was, and they had like a kids carnival and a fun run and all that kind of thing, super family friendly event, we thought it would probably get us the biggest total at the end of the market for the year. So we set up Friday night, and there was absolutely no one anywhere near us, no customers. What we did not know, and this is going on there were multiple things we learned at this market, I should say. These are all going on the list of things we want to watch out for next year and things that we will be asking all coordinators of markets in the future. So where we were set up was actually like an entire block over from where the carnival was. So you'd have to actually cross a road to get to where the vendors were, which means it wasn't very family friendly. If you've got kids in a stroller or something, now you've got to load them up and bring them over. But also kids couldn't get to us on their own. And we have a better luck at shows where mom or dad can hand some cash to the kid and the kid can walk over and get whatever they want. Typically parents are with the kids, but we've also had some shows where mom and dad are just like standing out in the aisle and they let their kids come in. where that was just never going to happen at this one. They weren't going to say, yeah, go down a block and I'll see you later. So all of the kid-friendly activities were too far away from us. The other thing that made this market not so successful was that there was a flea market going on at the exact same time on the same block, like literally right next to us. We usually don't do so well at flea markets. There's just a different mindset. Usually flea market shoppers are wanting to haggle and look for a bargain and things like that. And we are making like handcrafted plushies that, I'm charging for my time plus my materials. I'm not undercutting. I'm running this like a proper business. It's just not the same mindset, the same customer who's coming in to kind of like yard sale shop at a flea market and then trying to look for like handmade goods. We weren't the only people who kind of recognized that. There were other vendors at the same show who didn't do so well. So at that one, we paid $50 with the option, like you paid $50 for the 2 days with the options of going Friday and Monday. And it would have been open something like 24 hours or so total over the weekend. But we went Friday, we set up, hoped to sell something, sold absolutely nothing because no one was around. We went back Saturday and it was so slow. It was awful. There were very, very few people who came anywhere near where we were, and those that came over were mostly looking for the flea market things. So we stayed for the entire day. I can't remember how many hours we were there. We were there for maybe 8 hours and made $450. Now, when I say we were there for 8 hours, I mean we were open for 8 hours. We were also there for the setup and the tear down and things like that. Now, there was security at this event, and we could have left our things there overnight. And so that was the original plan, was to set up and just leave our things. They were going to be watched, and we have like sides on our tent that we zip down and stuff. It was so bad on Saturday, we just picked up. We picked up, didn't even stay super, super late, and then we just didn't go back on Sunday. It was just not worth our time. We've also found that on Sundays, we don't get very many customers until churches let out. So we don't really get customers until lunchtime or a little after. And Sundays are also our slower days. People are trying to, get ready for the work week, get kids back and ready for school and that kind of thing. And so Sundays just culturally, we don't get as many customers where we are. So we knew it was not worth the drive, not worth the setup. It was so much easier to just come home. So that was pretty disappointing. We were hoping, again, if we would have been open for 24 hours total and we made $100 an hour, we would have made at least $2,400. But because of the numbers of people at the crowds, we were hoping to make closer to $200 an hour. So we had really been prepping and setting our sights on it being a $3,000 or $4,000 weekend. So it was a really big disappointment when it was a $450 weekend. And then for our third show, we went to an event that we went to last year. When we went to it last year, it was actually our biggest event of the year, and we made $200 an hour. And it was open for 7 hours. We made around $1,400. We loved it so much that we told them right away, call us for next year. We can't wait to come. This was great. This was our best event. So here are some more things that we learned that we need to ask for in the future. They are a small town, but they bring in a big crowd. Last year, they had the event. They had like a fun run and a kids carnival and all that kind of thing. And they had it all on the same day at the same time. This year, they decided to have the events split up throughout the summer to try and get people to come into the town like once a month. And so that split up the crowd size. They also changed the date that it was on. So it's normally 3 or 4 weeks earlier than it happened this year. And so I think that threw off our customers as well. So last year it was open for 7 hours. This year it was actually only open for 5 hours. We didn't actually know what the hours were as it got closer. There was like some miscommunications there. Or I shouldn't say miscommunication, but just a lack of communication. We were just kind of assuming that it would have the same hours as last year. And it was really difficult to find at the last minute, like, oh, hey, we're going to the third show in 4 weeks. What time does this one start again? And it was very difficult to like even Google and find it. So that doesn't bode well for trying to get customers to come. If I can't find information that tells me when it starts, then likely your customers aren't going to find that information either. or just people who want to attend the event. So we were open for 5 hours and we actually made $585 at that one. And I think that that's pretty good. I think we paid maybe $40 to be at this one. It wasn't very expensive. So I'm happy with making $110, $15 an hour. That's pretty good. Again, it was a little bit of a letdown because we were expecting a repeat of last year. We were actually quite curious how things would go if we went to the exact same event 2 years in a row. Would we get enough new customers that we would have the same income? Or would it be a lot of the same people and they love our stuff and want to buy more of it? Or would it be a lot of the same people who say, oh yeah, I have that plushie at home still, I don't need any more. So I was really hoping that we would get to like test the two, have a bit more of a controlled test on them. So it's super unfair to judge them against each other now, knowing what we know. So in the future, we will be asking if it's an event we do this year and we want to do it next year, we're going to be asking, is it the same way? Is it set up the same way? Is it on the same days? Do you have the same events going on the same days? Have any changes been made? So those are all super important questions. We're thankful that we made some money. We have had shows where we didn't even make the booth fee back. That happened to us one time last year. And I have a whole playlist on my channel of market vlogs. So if you go back and look through those, you can see how our market breakdowns and the items I took to markets and what I charge for them and things like that. So we were hoping that that month would be a $4,000 month, and it turned out to be, what is this? Less than $2,000. We made at least half of what we were hoping to make, if not even less. So let's look at bestsellers for each market though. I've got my phone here, looking at all of our transactions. So out of these 3 shows, at the first show, let's take a look at bestsellers. Now that one was a 2-day event. So on Friday, my bestsellers were 3 small sea turtles is what we call them. It's the pattern that I've talked about a bunch before by the Friendly Red Fox. 3 of my triceratops, 2 leggy frogs. Those were our top 3 sellers. So it wasn't that great. Those are like pretty typical bestsellers for us. But Saturday, we sold 11 of my triceratops pattern. That's more of a typical day for us. 4 of the gecko, 3 of the small sea turtle. So that one was an odd one. And again, that's the one where it was like, this isn't quite our customer base. So we had sort of strange bestsellers. And then our typical best-selling items, we sold none of. So just kind of a weird crowd for what we're typically used to. For the second show, now this is the one that should have been 4 days and we gave up after day 1. We sold 6 triceratops, 3 of the small sea turtles, and 3 octos. Those were our best sellers. Also, those are all good sellers for us. That's pretty normal. What we'd been doing earlier in the year though, we were selling at least a dozen of the small sea turtles every day we were open. So the crowds had kind of just picked different items, those. And then at our third show, in the 4 weeks, our top sellers were 9 of the sea turtles, 5 of my sitting chicken, and 2 of my sitting pig. And we also sold a lot of bracelets. My daughter makes bracelets, and we sold 8 bracelets at that one. Those things aren't too surprising to me because last year, the biggest things that sold at that market were small items and lower price points. So after that market, because I was new at this last year, I made a whole bunch of like $8 things and small things, and then we haven't sold them very much at all for the entire year because I was kind of like basing what I made off of one show and then trying to sell it to other people, but that's not what they wanted. And then when we got there this year, everything was different. So I still have a bunch of these small $8 items that just aren't very popular with my customers. Now, typically for us, we only do 1 market per month, and we do that on purpose to not overwhelm us so that I can remake things, restock things if I need to. But also just in our personal lives, it helps us to not be busy and running and doing shows every single weekend. It gives us some downtime. So this kind of happened in a weird way for us that we had 3 markets in 4 weeks. That was definitely not our plan. One of them was switched to the different day. One of them we just didn't expect to get into, and then we did, and then we added one in, and we thought, sure, why not? I'll make extra plushies and we'll do great. And so I still have my plushie totes sitting out from the market that I need to get in my closet. So it wasn't our intention to have them all piled up like that. That just kind of happened. I was quite worried before, like going into that, I was really worried about how much of my stock I would lose. But for that reason alone, I'm actually kind of glad that they didn't go as well as we wanted them to, because I've been able to take some time off and do other crochet related things like write patterns and stuff that I couldn't have done if I was doing a huge amount of market prep right now. So the third final show, I had 6 weeks from then until my next show, so I still haven't gotten to it yet. But I have so much in stock that I might only restock 3 or 4 plushies and call it good. Probably I will just restock the things that are in my work in progress pile. I have some more of those sea turtles that sell really well for us, so I'm probably just going to finish those. So for the rest of the year, we just have that market and then one more coming up. So I have one in November and one in December, and then we're done for the year. So if you would like to see more details about like what I take to markets and what those prices are, if you want to see all of that for those upcoming markets, leave a comment down below and let me know that that's something that you'd be interested in. Or would you rather have these more like consolidated market updates? And if you're still here at the end of the video, then definitely hit that subscribe button. And thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I will see you in the next video.